Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Community Connection. Hope you're blessed on this beautiful fall day. The colors have been wonderful. And every fall, schools all over the country have homecoming. And today feels like homecoming, doesn't it?
Nice segue.
Yes, well, thank you. Good to see you, Claudia.
Nice to see you, Mr. J.
Why is it homecoming?
We have one of our former employees that has come home to be with us
Yes.
today.
And the electricity in this room, having two introverts, is wearing me out already, and we haven't even started this.
I think you meant extroverts because you're the introvert.
I am the introvert, you're the extrovert. See, you've already wiped my brain cells down to like zero.
You were starting to glaze over.
I was.
Halfway through our conversation.
They just talk about silly stuff. Extroverts can talk about silly stuff all day long.
Meaningful stuff.
Okay. Well, why don't you introduce us to our homecoming king?
Oh man, I was homeschooled, man. I didn't.
You didn't. You've never been a homecoming king, have you? So Rob.
The Robmeister, as we
Robmeister.
used to call him around here, the Robmeister.
Rob Wheeler was our director of marketing for
Four
years.
and a half, actually.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow, that went by fast.
it did because it
And,
would have been 5 in January.
So he made us better,
Mm-hmm.
and we hope we made him better.
He did.
But he's not gone. He's just not paid to be a Patrick Henry employee or an ambassador. So we're here to talk about all the things today. So first, Rob, we want to hear about your personal why, as far as why has it resonated with you to be working with us, and now what Vision 30. Why does it resonate with you? Why does it matter?
Why does it matter? Family. I love family. I love people, and I think one of the things that really attracted me to Patrick Henry when I first started here was 2018. You guys were really just starting to kind of talk about this concept. It came up in the interview process, and I remember some of like the early graphics and things that we kind of were playing around with. You had just graduated from Zero Cubed at that point, and yeah,
A bit of marketing genius, by the way.
that I'm telling you, there's something there. I think you need to make T-shirts. And it was very attractive because what I was looking for was for a way to, at that time, spend a little bit more time with my family than what I had done previously. I'd come out of owning my own business with a couple of other guys, and I was putting in like 80-hour weeks, 90 hours sometimes, and that's not very family friendly. And so that was the first attraction was the family part of it, and I think the continuation of that really keeps coming back to that original attraction, which is family. I think the building blocks of society is family.
Amen.
And I think that from the standpoint of how we solve problems with each other, starts with interacting. Like, my 4-year-old is my best teacher, right? Like, his catastrophes are so volatile, but they're so basic. But I think if parents can kind of navigate those then you've set up for success for later in life. So I think that's my real why when it boils right down to it, is that I love seeing family work, and I've made a ton of mistakes as a dad. But when I've seen us as a family work well, it's when there's good, meaningful relationships in place around.
So let me ask you a question. So we talk about every child with a thriving family, supported by a faithful community and an engaged church. How would you define thriving family? You set this up perfectly to talk about.
Yeah.
So what is a thriving family?
I think a thriving family is one that's not scared to talk about problems. I think it's a family that's not scared to confront issues, and it's a family that says sorry often. I think sometimes we get this idea that family is supposed to be perfect. One of the big things I've been really keen in on lately is this idea of perfectionism. And I just kind of put this little quandary out into the ethos a couple weeks ago. And I was like, I really feel like perfectionism's the enemy of consistency. Because I think that consistency is probably one of the most important things. If you can be consistently there, I think that's a key part of thriving. If you can just kind of consistently, that doesn't mean you're not going to make mistakes along the way. It means that you know how to apologize for those mistakes when you make them, and you can do it together.
In the 90s, there was a lot of books and stuff about, well, it's not about the quantity of time, it's about quality time with your kids. And I think we're waking up to realize quality time doesn't happen without quantity of time, because you can't plan quality time. It just happens. If it's going to happen, it happens.
Yes.
All right, so the consistency there.
Yes. Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head, because if when you are there, like, it's easy for me to just pick up my phone and just scroll, right? And it's the end of the day, and I've worked hard that day. I was up before my kids. I go to bed after my kids, and it's really easy to just, hey, I just need a time to just decompress. But I think that quality is, it's not enough to just be there with this in front of your face, because then your kid's going to forget what your face looks like.
Yeah.
Your face just always looks like this.
We're talking about being present
Right.
just before this started, right? And the cell phone is helping us avoid being present even though we're there.
Yeah, and if you just pay attention, like even walking through like a Target or a Walmart, and you'll see moms who used to be doing a lot of attunement engagement with their kids that are toddlers that are right in front of them, and they're literally walking, talking to somebody on their phone, looking at their phone. They're not even have eye contact with their kids. But what you said, I've never thought about that before, is that quality time cannot be scheduled. Like, especially with little kids. Okay, I'm going to come home, and at this very moment, you're going to be ready for some quality time.
Yes.
I'm scheduling it from 4:30 to 4:45.
Don't have your first step until I'm there at the house.
That's right. That's right.
Quality time pops up in the middle of crazy times and times that you don't expect it. And so you have to have the quantity in order to be there for the quality. And I think that's what we've missed over time, to just say, we can excuse that as if we're going to program our children to know when that time's going to happen. And it's not just when they're little, it's even as adults. You don't know when that one conversation is going to turn meaningful in a second that wasn't 5 seconds ago. And so if you're not there for that, you're going to miss it, and you can't schedule it. So that's good.
Yeah, you can't schedule the meltdowns.
Right.
Like, all right, we're going to walk in the door, and we're going to have this good conversation right now. I was like, man, I got to go to the bathroom, and I don't feel good about how school went today, so I'm just going to be mad, That doesn't get scheduled. You're absolutely right.
So I think that we'd be amiss if we didn't ask Rob to share a favorite memory or two. And I didn't prepare him for this, but I think that would be something that the staff would enjoy, and I'm sure any story you tell, the world would enjoy. So one or two favorite moments in time that don't involve making Mr. Day or I look bad.
Okay.
That's the qualifier.
Can I tell one that involved Mr. Day, but he doesn't look bad in it, and it's one where he was making fun of me? Can I do that one?
Yeah, please.
Oh, yeah, by all means. Right? I think it was probably sometime during that first year, and we were at a staff meeting at Hat Creek Camp, and I don't know if it was like my 1 year anniversary or something, and Mr. Day was like, "Hey, stand up, Rob." So I stood up. And then he repeats, he's like, "No, I said stand." "Oh, you are standing." And I was like, "Oh, nice." So the short jokes were pretty replete the entire time I was here. They just kind of kept coming. Jeff had a few of those. You had some of those. Claudia was the only one.
You could take it so well. That's why you got it.
Well, I lived my whole life that way, man. It's like, look, I had childhood trauma from this, I don't think Claudia ever made fun of me for my height. She usually...
Other things. I found other things.
Yeah, she found other things. Like, she'd make fun of me not being able to shut up and things like that, so...
I just teased you this morning about the cowlick on your hair.
Yeah, the Jimmy Neutron hair, right?
The Jimmy Neutron hair.
Jimmy Neutron hair. I'll say probably my most favorite memory happened the night before my last day here. And that was at the Impact event. And I heard somebody say once, a successful day is when you've laughed a few times, you've cried a couple times, and you've had a couple good conversations. and that was my second to last day here. Was the Impact event, and I was up in the booth, and we played a video that I was a part of the creation of, and I'm looking. I have Liam over here on my right, and then we had a couple other people here, and I've got Sue's husband Ken behind me on the couch here, and the emotion of everything just kind of like bubbled over, and I just looked out there, and I was like, wow. I got to be a part of this for 4.5 years, and I just started crying like a baby. And it took me a couple minutes to kind of like pull it back in, but I think that's going to be one of my core memories, as they call it in the movie Inside Out. I think sometimes that joy and the sadness kind of come together around something and wrap it up, and that for me was probably one of my all-time favorite memories. It was just that was a cool night. That was a really cool night. I poured a lot of emotion into it. I wanted to go out with a bang. I didn't want to just leave and just walk away with my little box, and that was that. And it was really cool to be a part of that for as long as I did. But that night was really special.
So let me ask a follow-up question to that. We often talk with our new employees when they come in. We make the statement, we hope that you make us better, and we hope that we make you better, right? And just before we started, we confirmed that we had made each other better, right? You had helped us as an organization be better, and you affirmed that we had made you better. That doesn't happen at every organization.
No.
Or place of employment.
Well, this was the first place that I walked away from where I still wanted to be here, in terms of strongly believing in the mission here, and leaving in a way where I knew that I was going to continue to be a part of this afterwards. And oftentimes, to your point, that doesn't really happen. Usually when somebody leaves, it's because of something that happened. Somebody said something, that somebody was offended, somebody was hurt, somebody blah, 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 right? Fill in the blank. But, this time it was, I've definitely been called to something else. But I was definitely called to be here too, in terms of, that's why I was here. I guess it's in The Sound of Music where the Mother Superior says, when God closes the door somewhere, he opens a window, right? And it felt a little bit like that because I didn't emotionally, and that's why you can't make decisions just based on emotions, because emotionally, man, I didn't know what to do. I really wanted to do what I'm doing now, and I really wanted to stay here. And I was like, you can't do both.
Yep.
You can't have your cake and eat it too. Thanks, Marie Antoinette. But
So before we talk about a couple other things, I think we should borrow Rob's wisdom, marketing wisdom.
Oh, no.
And we want to show this clip and ask him some questions about it, right? Are you
Yeah,
ready to
because
do that?
I still don't understand exactly what happened.
Well, I don't either. That's for sure.
So now that we have another generation, explain it to us.
Yeah, maybe that'll help.
So Liam, do we have the clip here?
Oh my goodness, I love this question.
I think.
And we're getting some feedback or something. We got stuck up there. There we
And
go.
it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so we have questions. So guys in the back, how many views has it had so far?
Just over 2,000.
2,000. Now, I could put something profound on social media and get 2 likes, and here's 2,000. What happened? Rob, what happened?
All right, so there's a couple things at play here.
Okay.
Right. There's sound at play,
All right.
right? And so a lot of people are going to
But
hear.
that's pretty annoying sound to me.
All right, so let me back all the way up to the beginning. The other thing we have at play here is generational differences.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
we're gonna back all the way to the beginning. I'm gonna sit. This is like a millennial boomer sandwich right now. So I'm sandwiched here as a millennial between a couple of boomers.
And the Gen Zers.
And I got the Gen Zs in the booth. They know what happened. Now I'm going to attempt as a millennial
Please translate
to
for us.
translate because they use words like this is. Well, maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. But they use a lot of slang terminology that. Oh, here I'm going to segue here real quick, and I'll come back to your answer. A couple weeks ago, Claudia put out, "Hey, can I use the word cool, right, as slang?" And I was like, "You can use the word cool, but it's not slang, right? For you
So
guys,
it's become
it is a
part of the
that's a common-
vocabulary that everyone
right.
knows what
You're
it
not
means.
going to hear Gen Z say cool very often. They're going to use it as like a cool kind of like agreement, right? Right.
Could we get Gen Z's ambassador to the millennials, the Melvinator, back on for a second?
I would be happy to jump in. I truly would.
All right. So because we've got a couple layers here. So now you're millennial. That's translating Z.
Mm-hmm.
So is he getting it right?
Well, I'm having trouble following him a little bit, but that's why we love him.
That's the real reason why I'm gone. My team had trouble following me.
But okay, what I want to say is it's not that Gen Z avoids things that are profound. It's just that we interact with it differently.
Hey, I was going to come back to that. Okay.
And we're still stuck on whether or not cool is a.
Oh,
Well, I
sorry.
didn't know that.
We
Okay,
kind of took
it's
an
funny.
exit ramp, Taylor, and now we're going to
Here's-
come back.
Well, I didn't realize that cool was considered slang at one point. Like
Oh,
that's
really?
just
So it's just
a word.
But you
Yeah.
understand what it means, and you.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Gen X and Millennial understands that it was slang at one time, but Gen Z, their entire life, that's just been a part of common English.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And I also asked about YOLO and FOMO, which is definitely.
YOLO is not a Gen,
Gen
Z.
Z.
thing.
YOLO and
millennial.
FOMO are very millennial.
Yes, they're very millennial.
Okay.
Yes.
Here I thought I was being.
Well,
trendy.
what's the original question that we asked here?
We're
right now?
asking why this
why the
thing.
video
Oh,
did
yes,
well
that's
it
right.
did.
Yeah.
But we had to go all the way back to the beginning here and point out the fact that we're having some generational misunderstandings. So I pointed out the sound, right, Taylor?
Yeah.
All right, I'm headed the right direction. So the sound is driving a lot of what people are viewing and therefore then liking. Okay. Then the message that's on screen associated with that sound is what somebody's actually going to like. That's,
And it's the caption.
Right. And so there's a couple of things at play too. One of the big things is that it's so short.
So
Right.
people can
Yeah.
view it fast.
They can view it fast. They can agree with what it is that you're saying right there. You guys have a nice little title on there that says, see below or read more or whatever it is that's there. I don't remember. And then the caption that goes along with it is nice. And so you said a second ago something about what's the value of like 2,000 likes or something like that.
2,000 views. Because
2,000
so how
views,
many
yes.
likes did it have, Taylor?
38.
See.
Right.
So 2,000 people watched it, but only 38 people liked it.
Can
Explain
I-
that to me.
Okay, this is why we started talking about the generational thing. Okay. Gen Z is not going to like a whole lot of stuff. The people that like your stuff are predominantly millennial and older.
Really?
Gen Z is going to view it. Yeah.
But are they going to read it? That's
Are they gonna read
the
it?
most important question. Because who cares if they watch Mr. Dave for 10 seconds be stupid? If they don't read what's below, then what's the point of it?
They're readers. I'm being dead serious here.
Okay.
So it's because you have a compelling message that goes along with a sound that is familiar to them, right? This isn't the first place that they've engaged with this sound. There's a lot of different mashups of this out there.
Yes, right.
You guys aren't the first ones to do it. And then they're going to read that message that goes along with it. Whether they like it or not only matters to
Really?
the boomers. Maybe Gen X. Gen X is just going to be sitting grumpy in the corner.
We love you out there, wherever you are today.
Do we, though? Do we? Yeah, we love them. Janice is going to blow my phone up in a second. Yeah, so.
She's at Tifa, so she won't even see it.
The
But-
way we see it messaging wise is the video is just a means to an end. The video is
Correct.
just the hook and the caption is the meat of it. So if the hook isn't long, which it's not supposed to be, or else it would be the whole thing, then people are more willing to take time with what the purpose is in the caption, essentially.
So do you have the caption up so you could read it to us?
I have it up on mine. I can read it to you right now.
Yeah, read it to it, because otherwise, what's the point of us even showing it if we don't read the caption?
Sure. Story time. I'm just kidding. Our goal is to intervene in a family's time of need before a child would be placed in foster care. We intervene with something called preventative measures, which in this context involves working with the family unit as a whole to help them in areas where they need growth and support. The services we provide include physical resources, communities of support, respite care, family, trauma, and behavioral counseling, resources for kinship caregivers, summer camps, and year-round trainings and community events. And then it links our website.
Now that's profound.
And now I want to like that.
I do. I want to like
If I
that.
would have just seen the video, I'd have been like, I ain't liking that. That's dumb.
So I think there's a different approach to marketing too. So boomers typically are going to have what I call a fishnet approach. You are trying to get as many fish into a net and accomplish as many things as possible. My question is, have you created any meaningful relationships in the process of doing so? I think that that's probably the one hole in this boomer style of marketing, which is let's gather as many fish into the net as we can. This millennial Gen Z approach to marketing, that shift over time, is more of like a single hook. And in the process, I think you probably are creating more chances for meaningful relationships from that. Whether or not they have likes or not, that's how you guys are measuring how many fish are in your net. But I think we're measuring different metrics.
Gotcha.
That's just my opinion.
So in the last few minutes that we have, we want to ask Rob a question about why he's still involved and the ways he's involved now in his new job, because he still has the heart for the work here.
Yeah. And maybe not just the job, like what are the other Vision 30 kind of things you do?
Well, I do want to give a shout out to where I am now. One of the big reasons why I was excited about coming on there was the heart of Susie and Todd Tryall, who run Sage Tryall Salon. They have done a lot of things kind of behind the scenes in the community for a long time here, and having the opportunity to listen to their heart a little bit about what they want to do in terms of impacting the nonprofit community here. And it's also interesting too to be in that small business world where I kind of came from, and then I came here, and then going back there again. You know, while I'm here, a lot of people are like, "Hey, how do we get small businesses involved?" But then you go back into the small business community, and the small business community is like, we're trying to figure out what doors to knock on, because we keep knocking on doors and nobody's answering them. And so both of those things are true at the same time, right? Because the unique position that I have is that I know what door to knock on in order to find the impact that they're looking to have. I mean, it's like the church in a community, right? The people that go to that church know which door you go to in order to access the services. But somebody in that community who's never been to that church before, they may go to the front door and knock on that front door. But if everybody is down in the kitchen, which is around the back and around the corner, they're not going to hear that knocking up there. It looks like it's the right door to knock on. And that, I think, is the two ships in a night kind of a thing that's happening here, is that the small business community thinks that they're trying to do things a certain way. And the nonprofit community is like, why can't we just get these people to do what we want them to do? They don't know which door to knock on. And there isn't somebody just sitting there waiting for them to knock on it. And so I think that there's a way to kind of connect Vision 30 to the small business world. And there it's, Todd and Susie are amazing people. And there's more people like that in the Lynchburg community in terms of getting them connected to this. They just don't know what door to knock on. And so I think part of my unique role now is going to be trying to figure out ways to connect that community to Vision 30. The pictures that were just on screen where we had the Kinship Navigator. I think we had 18 or 19 kids come in, and we did back to school haircuts, right? We didn't have to change what we do as a business, but we provided those complimentary to these kids who we treated like guests, right? They all got, we call it, thanks. They get what's called the wash house experience, which if you've never had a haircut at Sage Tryall Salon is why people keep coming back. It's the good stuff, right? And we take them in there, and you see all of the faces, and you just it was just a blast, and it was cool to see my team be able to engage in something that's truly part of our team atmosphere, which is giving back and trying to to meet people right where they are, which really is the heartbeat of Vision 30.
Wow.
I mean, I think honestly, if somebody, and one of the things I'm really passionate about, if somebody has to try too hard to be a part of something, they're not going to do it. But if you can meet somebody where they are and you can just give them that little bit of help. I mean, Claudia, you have story after story after story where that has been something where, yeah, you would have rather just stay on your couch, right? I mean, how many stories have we heard, right? But you chose to get up and, right? And so I think finding those ways that is not making a business go out of its sphere of influence, but instead helping them get connected with right where they are. I think that's the key.
I love that.
I love those pictures. Those kids were not just getting haircuts; they were getting an experience.
Right.
It looked like they were being loved on.
Right.
Like they were special.
Right.
They were the star.
Right. And my goal is to, I kept contact information. Mm-hmm. My goal is to figure out ways to continue to, help, find ways to continue to be a part of. And I think, I mean, I had a real brief conversation recently with Nicole Thorne, who runs Kinship Navigator, and helping her out with something. And I think that in our future here, we're going to continue to try and find ways to let's wrap arms around that part, because it's something that we can do. And I think if there's those people who are holding the line into the river, right, wherever they can, I think that having that is, I think, important to the long-term mission of Vision 30.
So in the Vision 30 video, right, the question is asked at the end, where's your place at the river? So here's a business, and like you said, they didn't have to get up and move or do anything different than they already do on a daily basis. They just now incorporated Vision 30 into their daily life and said, we can do this. That's powerful.
Yeah, and I think the amount of businesses in Lynchburg that are positioned to do something like that is much more vast than we realize. And I think maybe finding a way to kind of make a community hub for them, I think that would be kind of a cool little brainchild idea that I got stewing in the back of my head.
And I think that one of the things that we are coming to realize is, even with the caption on that video, all the things that we do, but you've found a way to say, okay, the salon is going to be kinship. These 18 haircuts, those families, that's our thing, right? And so it's not so big and so many choices that you have to think, and you can brainstorm ways to take care of those 18 kids and their families. That's brilliant, because I think we offer too much and too many opportunities, and people aren't finding their one thing, and they can't commit to 20 or even 5. They need to pick their one thing, and how do we get people to find their one thing and stick with it? So I love that.
Yeah, I mean, it's that single fishhook approach.
Right.
Because the fishnet is very overwhelming. I mean, if you talk about what Patrick Henry does in general, I mean, I've been at some of these fairs talking about what Patrick Henry does, and about 20 seconds into and we do this, and we do this, and we do this, the eyes glaze over, right? Because there's I haven't established a meaningful relationship.
Right.
So in our remaining time, Mr. Reeler, the Robmeister, we got the same memo, wearing black shirts. Words of wisdom.
Words of wisdom.
Anything you'd want to look in that camera and make an appeal to the community about your why, and summarize what we've been talking about.
Love your family. Find ways to connect with people around you. I get to the end of the day just like everybody else, and I sit down on the couch and I scroll my phone, right? I have to do the same thing that everybody else has to do. It's not any easier for me than it is for anybody else. When my kid comes over and it's like, hey, daddy, blah, 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 right? And sometimes it can feel like that. Sometimes it kind of, you had a hard day, right? And you have to find a way to put the phone down, and you have to find a way. And it's just as hard for me as it is for anybody else. And I think that's important. I think find ways to go outside of your comfort zone, and just just do the next, I know this is going to quote a Disney movie, right? Just do the next right thing that's right in front of you, right? You never know the untold impact of what's going to happen just by you doing that.
Very good. That was profound for a millennial.
For a millennial. Dang, shots fired.
Can we squeeze that into a 10-second silly song somehow and post it
10
on?
second, more like 2 if you want a lot of views. 2 seconds.
And post it on the Webernet?
The weather.
It's been a joy having you here today, Rob. And always
Always
fun
a
to have you
pleasure.
here with us too, Claudia.
Thanks for being here.
Does she look
Claudia.
lovely today, by the way?
She does
Rob?
look. She looks very
lovely
autumn,
today.
very autumn-esque
Yes,
today. I like
That's
it.
what I said too. Hey, thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next Thursday on Community Connection.
Nobody gets to choose their family. If a person is fortunate enough to be born into a healthy family, then life can be much like floating down a smooth, gentle river in the summertime. But an unhealthy family is like a dangerous river, filled with rocks, debris, and fast-moving water. This river swiftly leads to the steep waterfall of adulthood, tragically forming a new river of dysfunction. Even if you aren't born into an unhealthy river, there are many streams that cause a person to get there. But there is only one way to get out, and that is through a meaningful relationship. Across our region, there are many agencies, churches, and families who are devoted to helping children escape from unhealthy rivers. Some feel their role is to wade in and rescue children. They foster, adopt, or provide safe families. Others stand by the river and support the rescuers by providing what they need. Still, others are upstream and stand in the gap to keep children from ending up in the negative situations. At Patrick Henry Family Services, we see ourselves as having an additional role. We are running up and down the shores of the unhealthy river, screaming, "Can't you see the children in the water? You have to do something." Vision 30 is a 10-year initiative. By 2030, we envision a region where all children are safe in their own family, or with caregivers who are supported by a local faith community. So, where do you stand at the river? Are you upstream, keeping families together and strong by standing in the gap? Are you in the river, directly impacting children? Are you on the shore, providing support for the brave folks who have entered the river? Or are you just passing by without noticing? No matter who you are, come down to the river with us. Let us help you find your place. Not only will lives be changed, but you will never be the same.